journalists, fashion enthusiasts, and concerned magazine subscribers for attending this panel discussion on the purpose and use of photoshopping in the fashion industry. My name is Kayla Marquez, and I'm the Associate Director of Vogue. With us today, we have Janie, who is the Creative Director of our magazine, Malika, who is the fashion blogger of Blonde Salad, and Peyton, who is the psychologist we have on staff. Guidelines for this panel include 2 questions will be given to each panelist, and each panelist will have a minute and a half to answer the question given to them. I ask that all questions and comments be held to the end, where a maximum of 5 minutes will be allotted. All right, to get us started, we will have the first question directed at Janie, and the question is as follows. Many companies are moving forward with what they call a body image friendly campaign. Why are you choosing to not change your marketing strategy to reflect this recent trend?
As she said, my name is Janie Moron, and I'm the creative director here at Vogue. And as we have seen, there is a convergence between high fashion and healthy and athletic wear. But what people and the general public tend to forget is that fashion magazines, especially high-end fashion magazines, are trying to sell you a lifestyle. And with that lifestyle, I guess it does come with a certain image. And when we use photoshopping, we're not trying to show you your everyday, Carol from down the street with her 3 children. We're trying to sell you something luxurious and something to aspire for. And especially when we Photoshop, we're trying to accentuate not exactly, the model's physique, which is what people get caught up on, but we're trying to focus on the fabric, on the product, and so that's why I think we should still use Photoshop as we are using it currently.
All right, thank you. Our next question will be directed to Malika. Do you believe your own body image has at all been shaped by the fashion campaign?
Okay. Hi, my name is Malika Graddick, and I'm a fashion blogger for Blonde Salads. I feel very neutral to retouching and photoshopping in campaigns. I do not believe that my body image has been influenced by the Vogue campaigns and all of that. I see and write for lots of campaigns, and I see the clothes. As a fellow fashion blogger, Dana Suchow of Do the Hot Pants, she said in Style Blazer that all fashion bloggers retouch themselves for their blogs. Now, I would say that we do that to cover up our flaws that we may feel uncomfortable with. We do not want our many viewers that we have to be looking at us and our flaws, but for the trends and the new styles that we are trying to promote to them. But we do this in a way of to make us feel comfortable, but not go to the extremes by what Vogue may produce. And so that's why I'm very neutral to retouching.
All right, thank you. And Peyton, your question is, what sorts of improvements do you hope to see in the fashion industry?
Well, she said my name is Peyton Jordan, and I'm a psychologist, and I'm against photo retouching because I think that it can lead to damaging psychological behaviors, especially in young women. And I don't see photo retouching going away anytime soon, obviously, but I feel that girls need to be educated about what goes in specifically to photo retouching and what's real and what's not. And for example, a 2011 study by the British Psychological Society, they compared a group of girls who had seen a video from the Dove Self-Esteem Fund about the technical parts of photo retouching and what was real on these models and what was not. And then they saw these photos of these retouched models that were ultra thin, and these girls had expressed higher self-esteem and body satisfaction than a group of girls who they were compared with that hadn't seen that video before seeing those photos. And so I think that can help to make girls more aware of what is in photos, and then they can assess that, and then they're able to love their own bodies.
All right, thank you. The other question will be directed at Janie. Do you believe your work has a positive impact on young people?
I do not believe that our work has a negative effect on young people because young people are not our market or our consumers. When we produce our magazines, we have women buying them, but they're not teenage girls. Yes, they may look at them, but they're not our target market. And so when you do have these young girls looking at all these images and these campaigns, I think it's more important to teach them to look at those pictures critically and say, that's not what I'm seeing every day. This is a photograph. And photographs, while they are meant to capture reality, do not fully capture reality. And so that's my stance.
Great, thank you. Malika, your last question will be, do you think this magazine has any improvements they should take into consideration?
So I believe that Vogue has improvements through the years. So since Dove's campaign in 2004 for Campaign for the Real Beauty, Vogue has taken that on a little bit, and through a well-known model, Kate Moss, she did a spread in Italian Vogue with no retouching, and that has been spread out through these past years. Now, I do believe that Vogue should continue to take into consideration non-retouching for some campaigns, but I do believe that Vogue should not lose their fantasy and the artsy aspect of the Vogue. So that's my stance.
Thank you. And Peyton, your final question is, fashion images displayed in magazines have been around for decades. Are you stating that women have been responding negatively to these images for just as long? If so, why are other companies responding to it now?
I think that the correlation of the shrinking of women's bodies in magazines and then the rise of eating disorders over the past 3 decades really cannot be ignored. Eating disorders tripled for college-age girls from the late 1980s to 1993, and that's according to the National Eating Disorder Association. And also, a really sad statistic, between 1999 and 2006, there was a 199% increase in children under the age of 12 who were hospitalized due to an eating disorder, and these were mostly girls, per the American Academy of Pediatrics. And in regards to the question about companies responding to this, I think they're doing it because they realize that these images are affecting younger and younger generations and just how damaging it is to all generations, really. For example, Verily magazine, they have a Photoshop policy where they don't alter the models' faces, their bodies, they don't take out wrinkles or birthmarks. They believe that the unique features of women contribute to their beauty and they don't need to be removed or changed with Photoshop. And I think this is very admirable, and I am glad that more publications and companies are taking this stance, because women keep seeking perfection every day, and it's just something that's not attainable, and I think that every woman just needs to love their body even though it's imperfect, and that's why I'm against photo retouching.
All right, thank you. So in conclusion, we've had Janie, our creative director, who is for retouching and photoshopping. We've had Malika, who is neutral on the subject, and we've had Peyton, the psychologist, who is against photo retouching and any photoshopping done. So that concludes our panel for right now. If you have any questions or comments, we would go ahead and take them in the next 5 minutes. Yes?
And this question is directed at Peyton. What are some specific things that can be done to help young children learn about the practice of image retouching?
All right, thank you. So Peyton, the question was, what sort of practices can be done to children that can help them with the fashion industry or take on the fashion industry?
I think it specifically starts with parents. I think that they are the ones who are able to sit their kids down at a young age and tell them specifically, this is not real in these photos and what is real, and really just have a conversation about that at a young age, and also even when they get older, as they see more advertisements and they read more publications. But then I also think that it can be more implemented more into schools through implementing it into books and health classes more, and talking about the specifics as was done in the 2011 British Psychological Study. I think that's what can specifically be done.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
To any of the panelists, where do you hope to see the fashion industry go in the future?
All right, I'll go ahead and direct this at Janie. Where do you hope to see the fashion industry in the future?
I do hope that the fashion industry has more changes in terms of including different people, not just physically, but of color and all of that. I do think in terms of photo touching, we should even go further to make it really, almost cartoonish and really extravagant, so that people are just really get that through their heads that, we're not trying to show you that this is how you should look, but we're trying to show you something artistic and our take on that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
This one's for Janie. How do you see the fashion industry in the future?
JD, how do you hope to see the fashion industry in the future?
I think, I hope to see fashion in the future where it's included in every aspect of life as it is now, but it loses that stigma that it's biased and only for a certain type of people. I think fashion, because it's an artistic form of expression, it is available to everyone, and everyone should have a more positive image on that.
Right, thank you. And one more question in the back.
You were talking about all the issues that we have with body issues in this country. Are there similar issues in other countries, or like is the juxtaposition between our large American size and our very thin models, is that uniquely a problem for us?
All right, I'll go ahead and direct that question to Peyton. In the research that you've done, have you seen any correlation in just Americans, I guess teenagers specifically, having a negative, I don't say,
Body image.
yeah, negative body image towards themselves, or were you able to see that in other countries as well in your research?
So a lot of my research actually came from Great Britain, as I said, the British Psychological Society study, actually from Dr. Pippa Hugo, who is an adolescent psychiatrist in London. One of her studies said that as many as 9 out of 10 teen girls would alter their photos to appear thinner. And also she had said that, I had found also that cosmetic procedures among 13 and 19-year-old girls increased from 548% from 1996 to 2010. So I definitely saw a lot of that in Great Britain. I think maybe their magazines are even more retouched and go to a whole nother level, actually, especially, and I think in France too. So apparently in Europe that seems to be a big deal, and I think it maybe is even more of a thing over there.
All right, thank you. If there are no other questions, I will, okay.
I was wondering, is this more of a modern trend to have super thin models, or is that always how the industry has been?
All right, I'll direct this to our fashion blogger. Has this always been a trend, or is this more of a recent thing?
So if you don't know, Twiggy is the one who started the thin, gangly body that we see now we have issues with, and that started in the 60s. And because of her is why we have, we require, or not require, but see more thinner, taller models in the industry.
All right, thank you. And I think that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you for your time. Thank you all for coming to our panel, and hope you have a wonderful day.